Welcome back. So the new Eastern Cape liquor regulations have sparked outrage among some independent distributors. They claim that these regulations, which took effect on the 1st of March, are not only unconstitutional but also disproportionately target and harm poor black communities. The regulations, which include stringent requirements like municipal zoning approvals and population certifications, are being met with fierce resistance. Joining us now to discuss these concerns is the Executive Director of the Independent Retail and Liquor Distributors, Mfanelo Skwatsha, who is joining us in studio. Very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Good morning, Aldrin. Good morning to your viewers as well.
What are your concerns? One is, I know that the issue that has been raised as well was the process in terms of public participation.
Yes. The process was flawed, if there was any process to start with, because we want to believe some of us became aware of the regulations just on the eve of them being implemented. We want to believe that there were no proper notices to the liquor traders who are directly affected, to members of the public. And we will also want to believe if the public hearings were conducted by the Eastern Cape Department of Economic Development and the Provincial Liquor Authority. They have vested interests, so therefore they were conflicted. They could
Why do you say they've got vested interest?
They have vested interest because they are the ones who are interested in increasing the registration fees, especially for the taverns. If I were to take you back as well, you will recall that after the tragic incident that happened in a tavern called the Nyobeni in East London, they publicly vowed that they were going to decrease the number of taverns in the province. So they have been in that process for the past 2 years or so. So they have specifically targeted the taverns, and in our view, they were not dealing with the factors that caused the Nyobeni tragedy, but instead they were more interested in dealing with the symptoms, and they were using the taverns as the scapegoat.
Yeah. But the issue, though, that was raised, if memory serves me right as well, at that time was that it is, of course, in a residential area, one, and then the issue was around the number of liquor outlets that you have in one area that government said that we need to deal with. You can't have so many liquor outlets in one specific area.
What will be wrong with having many taverns in a specific area as long as they are properly registered? And over and above the taverns, Aldrin, you will also be aware that in the liquor industry, we have the informal traders or illicit traders, the ship-ins. They outnumber the taverns. So it can't be the issue of the taverns. And by the way, the unintended consequence of what the Eastern Cape Department is doing is that we will have more ship-ins than we would have had before. Because the people who are operating taverns were struggling to pay 2,500 per annum. In 2023 alone, 471 could not register or pay their liquor licenses. Now, with the new fees, it means you are going to have more numbers because people are struggling. Let me also put you on board. You see the taverns, or the so-called taverns, because the actual classification of the license is on and off. It's not the tavern. The so-called taverns are informal, and they are neither profitable. In most cases, people would register in order to avoid harassment by the police, but they are not making money per se. And the other issue is that the Eastern Cape Department and the Provincial Authority, they have taken advantage of the people who operate taverns because most of them have not gone much with schooling. Now, if you look at the fee structure now, the taverner is expected to pay the same amount as the microbrewer. Now, the microbreweries are making millions per annum. Now, if you also look at the fee structure, there's a license that is called on consumption. It's a restaurant license. And you will also note that restaurants in this country are run by white people. Now, the restaurant license, the previous annual fee was 3,000. Now they have reduced it to 2,500. Okay. Now, you will also know there's a license that is called off consumption, which is the bottle store. Again, 99.9% of those businesses are run by what people and are profitable. Now, the annual license for a bottle store now is 3,500. Now, you can't explain why would a license for a tavern that is not profitable, that is informal, in a true sense of the word, it will be 5,000, other than it will be that you are just anti-poor black people.
Okay, we did invite the liquor board as well as the liquor board then sent us to the Department of Economic Development. The department then said that they're not interested, they won't be doing this interview with us. But what is your engagement with the department been like and the liquor board?
We have not engaged the liquor board because we want to believe that they are a regulatory authority. Okay. Now, the issue is with the Department of Economic Development. We have engaged the MEC. We have given the MEC 14 days to respond, failing which we will have no option. The options that we have, the first one is to consider a legal route, take legal action against this. The other option is that we must engage the communities, we must engage the liquor traders themselves, we must engage the associations so that we can have a defiance campaign. The defiance campaign will be along the lines that people should not pay for these new fees until such time that we have engaged the department, or until such time that we have exhausted the legal route.
And that would be unlawful as well, right?
Defiance campaign, unfortunately,
it's an act of breaking the law.
We will act within the law. We will act within the law. We will act within the law.
Well, you need a license, right? And that license will be given upon registration.
But there are issues with that license that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
There are issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah. But so you're saying that people must operate without licenses?
Until such time the matter that is being exhausted.
That's what I'm
they
saying.
don't have an option.
But that's unlawful.
In any event, most of them are going to operate without the licenses.
Yeah.
In any event, they are going to operate.
But you want the law to be followed. So why are you encouraging people not to follow the law?
No. We are exercising a right. We are saying we are engaging. It's not as if we are not engaging.
But it's not a right to break the law. You don't have a right to break the law.
No. We are going to act within the law and say until such time the matter has been exhausted, because we are going to engage the MEC as we have written to the MEC, and we are going to look at the option of a legal route as well. Yeah,
but what I'm saying is that you'd need a license to operate and sell alcohol. In the absence of that license, you are breaking the law.
There are many people who are operating without the licenses in this country.
But I'm now specifically speaking to you and your members, the ones who do have licenses, the ones who do want to follow the rules.
You see, it is the anger. We are merely articulating the anger on the ground, because in most cases, these people are not going to afford the licenses. I've just given you the statistics that in 2023 alone, 471 registered liquor traders could not pay the then 2,500. And in subsequent years, there are so many that we have. But unfortunately, when they are unable to pay the licenses, they still continue to trade.
Yeah. There's another issue that was raised, and this is dealing with zoning and also permission.
Yes.
Or not necessarily permission, but also getting the input from various stakeholders, including churches as well as schools. Yeah. What's your take on this?
Yeah, the first one is that you submit the application to the ward committee, okay, to the ward councillor and the ward committee. In other words, the ward councillor and the ward committee, you are dealing here with a politician. Now, this is an administrative issue. That's the first problem. The second problem is that you must get consent if you operate within 500 meters radius. Within that, you must also get a consent from an educational institution. Now, we don't have a problem with that, except that, safe to say, the condition should be such that during school hours, certain conditions should be met, instead of just an outright thing and say you are not going to get a consent because you are within a certain radius from the educational institution. But the one that says you must get a consent from a religious authority or churches as it is, Now, we feel that it is unconstitutional because we're a constitutional democracy and secondly, we're a secular state. And you will recall that under apartheid, South Africa was so-called Christian democracy. That's why, for instance, you could not sell liquor on Sundays. So it violates the constitution of the person, constitutional rights of a person that wants to apply for a license. If a church that is not itself registered, that itself may be fake, must give consent.
Yeah. But isn't that regulation also similar to what we have in Gauteng? And you'll tell me if I'm wrong with this. That churches also that are within a 500-meter radius, places of worship, it says, general rule is that liquor outlets should be at least 500 meters away from places of worship and educational institutions. So this to me seems similar to what is in Gauteng.
Yeah, that is similar what is in Gauteng and elsewhere does not make it right in the first place, because what could be the reason?
So are you saying that even the Gauteng one is unconstitutional?
Throughout the country, it's
and you've never challenged that particular one?
No. We are going to challenge it. Unfortunately, in the Gauteng and other provinces, they are also dealing with problems of zoning.
Yeah.
Actually, the problem of zoning has a history in the apartheid, because in the apartheid era, because you see, black areas were never meant to have businesses, or black people were never meant to have business. They were just being dumped. So that is why it becomes difficult to say, now, all of a sudden, without addressing the legacy of the past, and then you say this zoning. You say there should be special measures in dealing with zoning in the black residential areas, because most of them existed during the time of apartheid. And the planning was therefore meant that actually black residential areas were used as cheap reserves. You see, just to get cheap labor from those areas, they were not expected to do any business.
Yeah. But now there's legislation and regulation in place under the democratic dispensation. And one of those is that within the 500 meters, you can't have an outlet like these, for instance. Yeah. The churches also have a role to play in our democracy. As a jurisdiction person, they also have a say, right?
In what manner and form? That is the problem. That is a matter that we think now the courts in this country must deal with. Okay. Because we want to believe that it is against the rights of citizens that a body that has nothing to do with their business must, because you don't get a reason why a church should give a consent.
All right. So what's your next step now? You've given the MEC until the 31st of March. What happens after that?
Yeah, we will hear, because we don't want to preempt what the MEC will say. There are other stakeholders. For instance, the Provincial Liquor Association has also engaged them. But also, we are also preparing for a possible legal action, and we are also preparing for a defiance campaign.
Okay. Is it defiance campaign after the legal action?
We will consider which comes first. We may have to do them simultaneously, because we need to put pressure on them.
Yeah, I would say to you, don't do it. don't break the law, because we have major problems when it comes to alcohol in the country and binge drinking as well. So I'd rather not break the law and follow.
There's an Italian adage that says the king taught us the law, but he also taught us how to break it.
Okay. Mfanelo Skwatsha, I don't know if the king would end up in prison, but thank you so much for making time for us. All will be fine. Executive Director of the Independent Retail and Liquor Distributors, and this is on the concerns that they've raised on the new liquor regulations in the Eastern Cape.